Hi everybody. Hi. First of all, I want to say thank you so very much for watching the last couple of little videos I put up. It's very kind of you, and your comments are just so heartwarming and sweet. So I'm probably about to disappoint everybody right now because I'm going to do a pour that I have never been successful with, which is the cloud pour. Not one I've ever done has looked decent by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm just going to give it a shot today and we'll see what happens. This is what I used. All of my paints were mixed just with Floetrol. Nothing else, just Floetrol. They were all of these up to here. So this is Amsterdam Prussian Blue. This is Artist Loft Metallic Cobalt Blue. This is Amsterdam Payne's Grey. This is Pebeo Studio Acrylics in, what does it say? Iridescent Precious Gold. Sounds fancy. This is De Serres in Quinacridone Violet. This is Amsterdam in Primary Magenta. And this is Art Minds in Gypsy Gold, which is kind of rose goldy, I guess. So those are the paints that I used. All of these ones up to here were 1 part paint to 2 parts Floetrol. So there's an half an ounce of paint, 1 ounce of Floetrol in each of these colors. These blues, the gray, the gold, and these 2 pinky tones. This one here, the Art Minds, is 1:1. So this is 1 ounce paint, 1 ounce Floetrol. This mix here is Artist Loft Flow Acrylic and the Americana Deco Art Satin Enamels. These 2 were mixed 50% this, 50% this, and then another 100% of that. That makes no sense, but this was 2 ounces of paint to 2 ounces of Floetrol, so 1:1. So 50% this, 50% that makes 1, and then 1 of Floetrol, 1:1. So that is the paints. I'm just going with something slightly thicker because I'm going to try and do a ring pour with this, and I'm just not super good at ring pours and cloud pours, and I've always had terrible luck. So let's see what happens. I am painting this on, oh, it's messy on the bottom now. I never tape anything on the back. I really love messy backs of paintings. It just makes it feel so much more handmade to me. Anywho, this is a piece of MDF, probably 1/4 inch, maybe, not sure. That I'm lucky the place where I work with a bunch of construction guys, and anytime they're going to be putting MDF in the dumpster, they make me some circles. So I'm super lucky there. So I'm getting these circles just free from work. So these are kind of my little test things. I don't bother priming them. If I'm gonna try and do something where I want to be super fancy, I'll prime it, but if not, and it's just really a test, it's almost like Julie's cardboard, her thick cardboard that she does her test pours on. These are kind of mine. This is, I haven't even measured it, not sure how wide this is. This is 12 inches, 30 centimeters, 12 inches. So a 12 by 12 apparently needs 5 ounces of paint. So in here I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, about 16. So I have too much paint here. So I don't want to use all of this. I want to use about half of this. And I'm going to pour it out of a cup that is, I think this is 10 ounces, not sure. So according to my little cheat sheet, I need 5. I'll probably go a little heavier because I don't want to move it around too much. So let's see what happens. No silicone in any of these paints. just paint and Floetrol. I'm going to pour them in this order here, and try and run them down the side of the cup, and start with the white and then move on to, this is the Amsterdam, oh, that looks like there's a blobby thing in that, Amsterdam Prussian Blue. This is the Artist Loft Cobalt Blue. This is Amsterdam Payne's Grey, and I mixed these paints probably half an hour ago, not that long ago. This is Pabeo, some fancy goldy sparkly thing. It's pretty. This is Docera's Quinacridone Violet, which is just the most beautiful color, and I'm hoping it holds its shape. It's a very different consistency out of the tube slash pot than the other ones, so I'm not sure whether I'm going to lose it or, whoops, oh man, nearly threw that all down my shirt, but that's okay. And then the Art Minds Gypsy Gold. I'm not going to put, should I put some more white in? You know what, I'm going to put a teeny little blob, not very much, just a little tiny bit, just in there. And then I'm going to go one more time, but I'm not going to completely finish these off because I could do something smaller with what I have left over. So I'll leave a little bit in each of these containers so that I have something else to play with if this turns out to be a complete and utter disaster, which, you know, it's all a guessing game. I mean, I guess it is with every single technique. Every single time you do it, it's always, is it going to work, is it not? But I don't know, I've just had such poor luck with these cloud pours, or you know, just, yeah, just terrible luck. So this really is a big test here. Okay, I am going to top it off with just a little bit of white again, and then I think I might pour just, actually, you know what, I'm going to do that around the outside. I'm not going to pour onto a puddle, I don't think. Am I going to pour onto it? Yeah, I'm going to pour onto a tiny puddle, not a very big one, but just a little one there, and pop that bubble, move that around very slightly, my sticky cups underneath, because I use and reuse and reuse. Okay, so this is a pretty solid cup, so it's not going to make much of a spout, but that's, hopefully I have enough paint here. That doesn't look like an awful lot of paint. Let's give it a try. Okay, so I'm going to pretty much straight pour it, maybe a little bit of a jiggle. I'm not very good with jiggles, especially not at this time in the morning. I couldn't sleep, and so it was one of those things where it's like, what am I going to do? Am I going to lie here in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering why I can't sleep, especially when this is my week off? Or am I going to get up and pour some paint? So I thought I would get up and pour some paint. And I haven't tried this style in a very, very long time because of my constant failures with cloud pours. So I'm feeling a little bit inspired by the lovely Julie Cutts and Sarah Mack, and I thought, you know what, give it another try. It's just paint. What can go wrong? And even if it does go wrong, just tip it off and try again. You know, there's not really any specific requirements, you know. It's like I don't know about you guys, but excuse me, I just come into my little room here and just play around. It really is dependent on the day, how I feel about what I'm gonna pour, and it's just all a game of seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. All right, I think we're gonna try and catch this middle here. Pretty cup. All right then, let's see what happens. I'm actually going to pour some white around the outside so that it's got something that it can hopefully do a nice little bit of traveling around the circle with. Give it something to stretch with. It always helps to save a little bit of that white. And I'm gonna give it a little bit of a torch. Been trying all of these different torches recently, but my big favorite is my propane torch. I use this a lot. It's quick, it's easy, you know, it just works. I'm just gonna run that over the top there, pop a few bubbles, see if anything is deciding to do anything interesting or not. It's starting to look a little bit cloudy, maybe, kind of here in the middle. Not super keen on what has been going down through here, making that kind of pinky gray. I'm kind of digging up around here, but I think I might try and get this side off first, but I'm gonna spin it, well, not spin it, but move it around gently in a circle first, just to try and open up a little bit of paint, and at the same time try and keep it fairly looking similar to how it was poured without stretching anything too much. If the white goes over the edge, that's all good, but I don't want to completely lose the circle that came out of the pour, because I don't mind how it's looking at the moment, which is somewhat of a first for me with these cloud pours. As I said, not my favorite. Love to look at them. Always amazed and astonished at people's abilities when they do these cloud pours, and just make everything just look so beautiful and poofy and cloudy. And then I do mine and it's like, oh, that's just a big old mess. I'm just going to bring the paint back to the middle for a second and just pop it down. Have a quick boo at it. It is really quite pretty up here. I'm really liking this side. As I said to you before, not particularly digging down over here, but the colors up through here are just beautiful. This quinacridone violet is, as I said, is just a stunning color. I'll show you that once I've finished here. I'll open up the pot and show it to you. It's just gorgeous, but it does get pinky relatively quickly, and obviously when I'm dealing with a painting that has a fair amount of white in it, both in its base coat and within the pour itself, it is going to make the colors lighter. It just is. It's white paint, and that, from what I understand, happens when you add white paint to other paint. It gets lighter. I'm waffling. I'm sorry. It is very early in the morning, and my dog, I think, is looking at me as if to say, what is happening? So I'm just trying to slowly push it over the sides, trying to avoid getting any zigzags. I just loathe zigzags. They just ruin a painting for me, I think, when it's been not incorrectly poured. That's the wrong word to use, because I don't think there's any correct or incorrect way to pour something per se. I'm thinking my white was maybe a tad thin, because as you can see, it's split just a little. Not split, well, yeah, it has split. It's gone kind of cloudy over there, so I think it probably could have done with a little bit more satin enamel in it to thicken it up a tad. It's not looking too bad so far. Just gonna wipe the underside a little bit. I'm also gonna give it a little bit more of a torch, I think, just to see whether there's anything else. And I'm actually gonna go a little smaller this time. I'm gonna, oh, look at that, that's really pretty. I'm gonna use my little butane torch, just because I don't want necessarily such a big heavy hit this second time around. Take it a little easier, go over it a little more gentlier, that's not a word. Be more gentle with the flame as opposed to blasting it with my big propane. All right, so I think I would like to try and stretch out some of these rings a little bit more. It's not quite as puddly as when I say puddly, I mean blocks of color. It's a little bit more ringy. So I'm going to try and find where the paint is. There it is. I want to take off again some more down this side and take off that grayish blue. And now leave that, let that settle for a second, and then pull it back to the middle. And I'm going to try and get it up over this edge right here, and then just try gently to complete that circle. Trying to open out the paint just a little bit more. Sorry if I'm tipping it way out of your view. And then bring it back. And then I'm just going to take a little tiny bit more off this side, just to give it one little final stretch. Try and get that little blobby piece off there, and then pull it round a bit to the side. Open that out a little bit more. So I like what's happening at the top here. and then pull that back a little. Oh, that's quite interesting, actually. I'm surprised, pleasantly so, but surprised nonetheless. It's not exactly as I imagined, but you know what? It is an awful lot better than I anticipated. I'm just going to take a tiny little bit more off. It's getting slippy though. Getting slippy. A little bit more off that side. Whoops. Oh yeah. Okay, and now slowly let it settle. And then bring the weight of the paint back to where you want it. Kind of lost my gold. I can see it shimmering, although I'm not sure whether that's the gold or the metallic blue, which it very possibly could be. Smashed my finger into it a little bit there, but that's okay. But yeah, the gold itself, like both the bright gold and the rose gold, is a little bit not obvious. I see a lot of the Prussian blue, the quinacridone magenta, just trying to center it up a little bit. Oh, I got one of my cups stuck on the bottom. All right, I'm gonna call that done, I think. Don't think I'm going to torch it anymore because I want to just let it, oops, do its thing and just see if it, actually, you know what, I lied. Not intentionally, not a bad person, I just unintentionally lied. I'm going to give it a little bit more of a torch, just a little bit, to see if I can bring anything else up. Certainly not perfect. The white is too thin. I need to add more. I probably would add more satin enamel to it to thicken it up and give it just a little bit better consistency. Other than that, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. And excuse me, I'm terribly frog in my throat. Yeah, it's not terrible. It's not great. It really isn't great. And I'm just obsessing a bit about this mess down in here. I've never really liked it, so I'm just gonna see if I've got any more give at all in this paint. I'm getting very tight, but I just want to see if I can get a teeny tiny little bit more off down here, because I'm just not super loving that gray pink blob that's there. It's not really doing it for me. Whereas I don't mind the top. Okay, I'm gonna go with that. Let it settle for a second. and then bring it back. Sorry if you can't see what I'm doing, I apologize. Just trying to bring the weight of the paint back a little bit. So it's a little bit more centered. Okay, that has opened that out a little bit more, and I prefer it. So I am done. That is officially done, and it's not bad. Not super great, but you know what? I am 70% happy, and I want to see how it dries. I'd be very interested to see how it dries, see if any of the gold pops through at all. I can see little tiny bits here, there, and everywhere. Round in through here, I see a bit of gold. Is my head completely in the way? It's terrible. I have had my roots done though, so it's not quite as horrendous as it was last time, which makes it better. All right, well, this was oh, I was going to show you this quinacridone violet. This is by a company that I found in Vancouver. I think they're a Canadian company, I'm not sure. DeSerres. They make a ton of their own paint, and the texture is gorgeous. Like, it is just like, I don't know whether you can see that, but it's just so smooth and silky and buttery, and their pigments are amazingly gorgeous. And this quinacridone violet is just, it's a beauty. All right, so that's it. That is the that's my painting for today. Nothing astonishing, but you know what? It is better than I kind of thought it might be. Thank you so very much, everybody. Have an awesome day. See you later.